Okay, so unless I'm wrong, I think I'm live now. I want to believe that I'm live now. Sorry, it's a whole process getting this thing set up. Well, I'm late because of the tech issues, so might as well get. Let's get this. Let's start getting this info out there. Share that screen with you guys. All right. So this is going to be a video about Gematria. Um, from it's going to kind of escalate a little quickly, maybe. Um, it's going to seem. I hope it won't be too challenging. I do want to talk about some of the stuff that's been happening recently because I feel like it's important because it might become really important soon, depending on what may or may not happen. Um, by all means, if it's too much at once, tell me that. Let me know. Um, but yeah, we're just going to get started here with some of the ciphers of Gematria from the very. I feel like I get a lot of people that don't get it at all. They don't get why, what the numbers mean. And I think this is a good way to start understanding that. Just looking at the ciphers that we use. The first four will be the base four ciphers. And different coders feel like different ciphers are more important than others. That's up to whoever's discretion. That's up to your discretion as well. Some coders really like Chaldean. I don't really use that. But that's not to say that it isn't important. I think they all are important in their own way. If you find a bunch of matches with the same cipher, it's for a reason. Um, as would be any cipher really. Um, I think I only have like one or two people watching, and that's perfectly understandable because I started the other stream and it didn't work correctly, and so this is on a different. This is like a different thing, so it might. Yeah, that's fine. But it'll be put up anyways, so it might not have to be alive necessarily. The ordinal cipher of Gematria is A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Your very standard, just the alphabet going forward. The reduction cipher of Gematria will be the alphabet going forward using numerology, which means that when a two-digit value is reached, it is reduced to one digit. So like 10 would be 1 because it's 1 plus 0. 11 would be 2 because it's 1 plus 1. And that would be J and K and so forth and so on. So as you see, no number gets above 9. It just starts over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. The reverse cipher is the alphabet going backwards. Z would be 1 in this scenario, and A would be 26. And then reverse reduction would be the same thing as reduction, but with the alphabet going backwards using numerology. So the 10th letter in this case would be Q, so that would be 1, 1 plus 0. P would be 2, 1 plus 1, so on and so forth. Same pattern. Just want to make sure. Right, yeah, live. All right. So those are the four base ciphers. And now we're going to get to some of the ones that are a little different. The Sumerian cipher would be the alphabet going forward by 6, starting at 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, etc. And you'll see that in the Sumerian cipher, that's the one where I think I find a lot of 666s. And I think that's not an accident, right? If it's going to start at 6 and go at a rate of 6, that would make sense. Same with reverse Sumerian, alphabet going backwards by 6, starting at 6. So Z would be 6, and A would be 156. And what's funny about the Sumerian cipher is that New York equals 666 in, I believe, Sumerian or reverse Sumerian gematria. And this is where we start seeing like number games within a cipher, that you have to understand that New York equals 666 first in this cipher. And then you would see that the last letter of this cipher would be the 156. And the 156 prime number is 911. And we're going to get to prime numbers and how they're used exactly. But that's why, that's how you begin to kind of see how within even ciphers, there's like rituals like that, or things that, like J and K, the span between those is 60 and 66. And if you spell out 33, I don't have this all out right here, but if you spell out 33, THIRTY, you're going to get 60 and 66. And that's not an accident either. There's many date spans that we're going to look at later that include these 66 and 60s. And that's how they leave their mark on things, right? And we all know, and well, not we all know, I shouldn't say that. Sorry, I started talking too fast. 666 and 6066 rituals tied to the 33. 33 is is the most worshipped number of Freemasonry, and that starts with the human spinal cord, the 33 vertebrae, and humanity equals 666, and we're going to get to this later as well. But carbon 12, right, is 6 protons, 6 neurons, 6 electrons, and it's almost as if we start out sinful, right, from birth. We all are innately sinful. We're human beings. The reverse Sumerian cipher, yes, 6 to 156. 6, alphabet going backwards by 6, starting at 6. 6, 12, 18, 24. All right. The satanic cipher would be the alphabet going forward, starting at 36. And I have the note here. The 36 triangular number is 666. So that's why the satanic cipher begins at 36. And it goes up at a rate of 1. You know, it's very straightforward. It's just A would be 36, B 37, C 38, etc. And you get to 61 with Z. And reverse satanic would be the same, would be the alphabet going backwards, starting at 36 at a rate of 1. So C 36, Y 37, X 38, W 39. And it's funny that in reverse satanic, X would be 38 because 38 is the number of death in Gematria. With many rituals that involve people dying, you're going to find a 38 or you're going to find an 83, but mostly 38. And that's due to the fact that death equals 38, killing equals 38, murder equals 38. So that's 3 huge, you know, 3 of the bigger words associated with death equal 38. Cartoon characters, when they die, X's are placed over their eyes. X equals 38 in this scenario. In a standard medical or family genogram, an X is drawn through a person's symbol to indicate that they are dead. And of course, the skull and crossbones logo in Pirates logos, but also just the skull and crossbones logo, Order 322, which we're going to get to that as well. The Secret Society from Yale, where George W. Bush and George H.W. Bush graduated from, Al Gore as well, and others. But yeah, that logo makes an X as well. So this one might be the one, the most out there one that I'm going to show, and it's there's other ones that I think I do use sometimes, like the prime ciphers or the Fibonacci cipher, but just for now, I just want to just show these couple ciphers. This will be the last one. J, V, and W are placed at the end of the alphabet in Latin gematria. So Latin gematria, Latin, the language of Rome. So I guess from my understanding, Roman alphabet only had 23 letters, so these ones were added. This J, B, and W were added later by whoever kept on making the alphabet, or I guess the English alphabet. Yeah, so that would be the Catholic Church more than likely. But J, V, and W will be placed at the end, and then when the first two-digit value is reached, which is 10, every subsequent value rises by 10. So A through H would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and then where you would have a J, you skip that and it goes to K, and that would be 10. And then L would be 20, M 30, N 40, O, P, Q, R, S, and then so O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, and instead of a V there would be, you just go to X, Y, Z. So instead of, you just skip over V and W and it just goes to X, Y, Z. And then you put J, V, and W at the end of that. So it's a little confusing, but there's a reason why. I mean, no one's going to calculate these gematria values by hand, right? Nobody's. I just use the calculator myself, and I have these sites here that I'm going to link you to. This one, the Gematrinator, is the one that most of us use. Here, I'm going to show you that right now. So this is gematrinator.com right here. And these values that I just showed, like the ciphers, this will load. Oh boy. There we go. So these are the four base, and then the ones that I talked about were Latin, Sumerian, Reverse Sumerian, and the Satanic ciphers. These ones I don't really mess with too much. Standard definitely has some alarming numbers there. Yeah, I don't really mess with this all that often. I think the more usable ones from here would be Fibonacci and primes. But other than that, like septenary, keypad, Chaldean, I really do dismiss myself, but that's just me. Not Chaldean as much, but definitely these two. Yeah, so here you can find, I'll put in any value. I'll talk about 38. Death is 38. Murder is 38. And killing is 38. And there's a whole list of the 74s as well. I guess I maybe should have started here more than anything. Let's see. Here's the date calculator. So this is a big tool that I also like to use. And before I forget, like just gonna use an example here. Any number that you find here, sometimes the numbers themselves tell a story that the gematria doesn't tell, if that makes sense. So 10, say 10, but then you can just click on the number itself, and this tool comes up where you see all of the number properties of the number that you pressed on. So it's a cool tool. It's a good tool to use. I sometimes find really pertinent stuff here that relate to a topic. Like I guess one that I just found recently would be this, and this is something that we're going to talk about later. But the 369th pentagonal number is 204057. So in numerology, the zeros are ignored for the most. Like they don't really mean much. So this is 24 and 57 to me. And we'll see later. Nikola Tesla's most famous quote is, "If only you knew the magnificence of 369, you would have the key to the universe." In some, I might butcher it to a degree, but that's the main part of it. And I think that he means people. Human equals 57 and 24, just like the 369th pentagonal number, right? 204057. And even if you do humans with Latin, you'll end up finding his 369 right there. And the more that you do this, humanity matches with. So I will sometimes use Roman numerals like CCC LXIX, right? $369 in Roman numerals. It's right here. CCCLXIX, right? So that's another like layer of thing that you can use, is even a Roman numeral will sometimes help you find something more. Right? It will help. Sometimes a number, even with its own properties, you'll be like, what is the thing that I'm looking for here? Because it's not that you're trying to confirm something, but you know that things line up in a way that makes sense. If it's going to make sense, it will have to include this topic, right? So I couldn't find enough things with 369, and then I started just, you try to find anything that you can, different ways to describe it, right? And then I found that this is 691 Latin, and I ended up finding that the first English literature piece on vampires that made it to the big screen in any way took place. It was a span of 690,001 weeks or days after the Order of Saint Augustine was founded, and we have a pope right now from the Order of Saint Augustine. And this is where you start finding like the connections to everything, right? The 691, if you run that, oh wait, where are you, buddy? If I'm not mistaken, there you are. The 691 is in the Jesuit order. Is it, I believe, Saturnian order, so the Order of Saturn. The really funny thing about the Order of Saturn is that it was founded on May 8th, 1926. Pope Leo was made Pope on May 8th in 2025, I believe, or 2024? 2024, when the Pope died. So, the Gematria, oh, actually, I didn't finish sharing this. So that's the calculator here, and you can use that. You can try to find different values of anything that you want, like anything that is on your mind that you see that is like wrong or that you don't think makes sense. UFC, whatever you're watching. 5 different fighters' names, different fighters' gym names, cities where they're from, cities where they're fighting. Um, as it pertains to sports, if you're going to use sports teams, or the city where they're playing, the date that they're playing. So we're gonna see the date calculator here. So these are, man, I have so many ads and I gotta get the paid Gematria to get rid of all that. But here's where a lot of coding happens, and it can come from many different places, right? It can come from the date numerology that we see here, right? How today's date, every date has a numerology assigned to it. Here we see just the most basic 6 plus 19 plus 20 plus 26 gives you a value. Now, all of these, some will say that they're not equally viable, right? That only, and I definitely agree that these bottom ones right here. Sorry, my God, I have a squirrel in my throat. All right. I already know that 71 and 35 is the value of Catholic. Catholic equals 71 and 35 in the base 4 ciphers. And it's King James' birthday today, so that would make a lot of sense that a Catholic would be kind of embedded in the date numerology of today. And you can see the date numerology of different things. And the days of the year and the days left in the year are also extremely important because that's another way that rituals are done. They're put on a certain day of year or day being left. The Jesuit order, one of the most, and you saw it there. I didn't point it out because I wasn't talking about that specifically, but the Jesuit order equals 201, Saturnian order equals 201. Their motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, equals 201. I want to say that equals 201. Actually, I'm not sure. But just the Jesuit order equals 201, and they stamp 201 on a lot of their events. And the finals actually ended on the day leaving 201 days in the year, on June 13th. June 13th. That's the day that the finals ended, leaving 201 days in the year, because Victor Wembanyama, the Frenchman, is from, Victor Wembanyama is from France. The Jesuit order was founded in France, and there's probably a multitude of reasons why it ended on the day leaving 201 days in the year. But yeah, that's another method that's used, and of course date spans. So I showed this for the finals. It would be, there you go, 66 days from the bird and the bread incident to the finals ending. The bird and the bread incident leaves 58 days in the year. San Antonio equals 58 in Gematria. And a lot of things tied to 58. San Antonio was founded 58 years before the Bavarian Illuminati was founded. Exactly 58. And Wembanyama. Sorry, his name is crazy, bro. So he's blah, 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 blah. Wembanyama was born January 4th, 2004. And what's funny about that is that they turned on the collider at CERN on September 10th, 2008 for the very first time. And what did we just say about 58? Everything that we said. That would be the 58th triangular number. The 58th triangular number is 1711. And Wembanyama was born that span before, and then they lose the finals in San Antonio, tied to the day leaving 58 days in a year, which was the bird and the bread incident at CERN. And what that was so the CERN Large Hadron Collider is running particles at light speeds to like try to create black holes that they say that they're trying to study dark matter, antimatter, that they are trying to create conditions that are similar to when the Big Bang happened and when there was nothing in the universe. Really crazy stuff. So what we have here now, let's keep on going here with another calculator, and this one is such a great tool for people to use. Let's go here and share this time. All right. So I want to shout out on YouTube. His name is MetaHex, METAHEXX. He is the creator of this website here, and it says the ultimate gematria database, and he's not lying. So the really awesome thing about this website, and I really should use this instead of the Gematrinator, just because MetaHex is my friend to a degree. Um, it's just I don't really know how to use the date calculator on this the same, and like honestly, looking at the website right now, I don't even know if that's available unless you log in or something like that. Um, but what I love this about this website is that you can type in anything, world, and it will give you all these phrases that match with, right? So world equals 72, 63, 27, 27. Brown, exert, all these are full four cipher matches, right? And then if you keep going down, it'll change to like, it even gives you ones that might not match across all four, but match in, and it'll show you which ones it matches in. This is a great, great tool for someone that's just starting out, especially to find things that like why certain things match with each other. Um, I mean, I put in world, so I mean, technically everything can viably match with the world. Um, but anything, right? Any type of topic that you're looking at, anything. Um, Masonic, right? Masonic, and a lot of people are aware of the 74 matches, but I'll just show you a peek at them here. Messiah, nuclear, Muhammad, um, Jesus. Jesus actually matches with this with the 74. A lot of things here. Lucifer, gateways, but the gateways doesn't have 74. And yeah, just you could play around with this all day, and I think this is a really cool thing. And you can, change the ciphers here, the ciphers button, the same ciphers that I showed you: Latin, Satanic, Reverse Satanic, Sumerian, Reverse Sumerian. They're all here, and yeah, he actually has even a couple more than the Gematria, so that's really cool. So again, shout out to him for this website. That's a really cool thing, and it's a really great tool that even I use because it's funny. Um, People ask me like, "Oh, how do you find all these matches and all this stuff?" And it's not it's not like I have every single thing in my head, right? Like there's definitely things that sometimes I have to go digging for, and that takes not I don't want to use the word work. It's not work, but it takes time, it takes effort definitely to just find the connections that make you like I literally there's like a couple of different ways that I like I'll just sometimes just throw myself back and be like, damn, when I find something that's like truly pertinent in a way that's alarming almost. That almost gives you chills when you find that. And there's a certain level of satisfaction that comes from finding that. It's almost, and coders will talk about this. It's like a high in a way, like finding the connection, finding a crazy gematria match to a date. Um, yeah, it can become a little addicting in a way, but I think it's a good thing sometimes, right? Because without that passion, we might not find the things that we find all the time. Last night I was looking into the Tay Keith murder, and it just kind of came to me. Like I immediately recognized the Memphis thing, and I am getting ahead of myself here. So let's probably get back to this. But yeah, sometimes the inspiration can come out of nowhere. All right. So again, shout out MetaHex. That's him right there. All right. Prime numbers. Prime numbers are any number greater than 1 that have no divisors other than 1 and itself. This is the first 25, but this goes on like I know that the 202nd prime is 1231, and we talk about time a lot, or I talk about time a lot. Um, San Francisco equals 202 in Gematria, and Skull and Bones equals 202 as well. But seems like a lot of the prophesized end coding has to do with San Francisco, so that would make sense that the end of the calendar would match with the 202nd prime, a San Francisco number. The Royal Order of Jesters, a Masonic order that was not founded in San Francisco, but the first master, I forgot what they call their leader. The first master of the Royal Order of Jesters was from San Francisco. Funny enough. So, some examples of prime numbers in use and how they're used in numerology using gematria with the calendar, everything kind of put together. Golden Gate Bridge equals 81 twice. And the 81st prime number is 419, 419. The 81st number that has no divisors other than 1 in itself. The Golden Gate Bridge was completed on April 19th, 1937. Right? And who am I to say how long it took them to really construct it if they chose to like wait until it would be April 19th to then say that they completed construction? Who's to say, right? We weren't there. But through gematria, it is a connection, and you can see it quite clearly. So I like to use this example. This one is a lot more involved. The Freemasonic logo is the G, right? And G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. And the 7th prime number is 17. Oh, I didn't even put that on here. I should have though. But I didn't put visibly that 17th here. Let's actually do that. And this is how I do this because it's just quicker. I'll literally just type the number in here and then use the little trick that I showed you guys. Just press on it. And there you see the 7th prime number is 17. Okay. So knowing that, the G for the Freemasonic logo stands for God or Grand Architect. God equals 17, Mason equals 17 in the reduction cipher of Gematria. And the first Grand Masonic Lodge in existence was established in England on June 24th, 1717. 1717. First Grand Lodge in the world, the Grand Lodge of London and Westminster, was established on 6/24/1717. That is a tribute to the number 7. And I believe that's also June 24th is like St. John's Day, something of that nature. But if you've been keeping up with any of the strange coding and the strange looming danger that it seems like we feel today, there's someone that's predicted that on June 24th, there will be some kind of event at the World Cup. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. You know, I have some thoughts about June 29th. June 29th is the day that CERN shuts down the Large Hadron Collider for 4 years on the 250th anniversary of San Francisco. Time and everything that I said about, I mean, time and also how San Francisco is coded into the end. It's very alarming that they would choose that date to shut down. and we're going to talk about CERN really soon here because I'm not a scientist, right? So I can't tell you with any certainty what they're doing there. That like I don't have eyes on it, but what we see is the coding, and what we see is in the symbolism that they have. Right, they have a statue of Shiva outside of CERN. What we see is a lot of. I mean, Shiva is the god of destruction. I believe in Hindu tradition, and nothing seems to be good that emanates from that place. And they're really trying to find other dimensions, but what is that for? And why would Wembanyama match? Why would his coding be run so deeply through CERN? Another thing that I didn't show right now, which I can show, is that Wembanyama on the day that they lost the finals, he had a CERN span of age. And then the 58th triangular to when they turned on the collider for the first time, it makes you realize that it's much deeper than any coding that I've ever seen, really. The coding that happens with CERN. That's why I talk about it so much, because I do think that there's will come from that, something that will come from CERN that will negatively impact the Earth in a way that might not be repairable, in a way that we don't even understand. Um, People talk about this a lot, but the last time that they shut down for 4 years, um, COVID was right in the middle of that, and time hasn't felt the same since. Nothing has felt the same since. It feels like we're on a different planet than 2016 felt different than what we experience now. And I think a lot of us feel that way. And here we have, um, yeah, everybody. Wembanyama's age for the end of this, and I said his age. I didn't say so. That means that he was 22 years, 23 weeks old on this day, right? After this would be the day that he is 22 years, 23 weeks old. But that's what the end date is for. It just means simply that you're you're including, you're saying that, like, oh, this is his 8,100. I'll definitely be saving the life, guys. Definitely. Um, Sorry, my screen sharing is going a little wonky here. My laptop is struggling to keep up with this, but I'll definitely save this for you guys after. Um, let's get back to sharing here. And also, definitely feel free. All this information, my information is your information, right? None of this is all for me. There we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah, feel free to take all of this whole thing. I might have a way to kind of send this whole document out that I have here. Um, but if not, just feel free to screenshot any of this, use it as your own. I don't care about that. I really don't. None of this. I mean, a lot of this info that I'm showing you, I found from I've the bridge collapse stuff. I didn't find that myself. I saw things about it, and then I've made my own connections as well. But none of the information is for anyone to just hoard to themselves. I've never believed in that at all. I think that goes against what we're supposed to be doing, which is sharing this with the world. So we left off here with the Grand Masonic Lodge, established 6/24/1717. Another way that we can see the connection between 7 and 17 through Masonry and through the calendar would be Disneyland in Anaheim, California, founded on 7/17. So Anaheim and Masonry match perfectly in reduction and reverse reduction gematria. And the funny thing about the number 39, again, this is another number game that is played. Sometimes it'll even be the square root of something. Like I found this recently with this number here. 39 square rooted is 6.24, and Masonry equals 39. And the first Grand Masonic Lodge gets founded on 6/24. So there you see a really good, like, how you can get from 39 to 6/24 to connecting it to the Grand Lodge. It takes a little bit of perception and knowing, you have to really dig deep, but you can find things like this in many other numbers as well. Famously, number of the beast equals 258 in gematria, and 666 square rooted, which is the number of the beast, will give you 25.8. So again, number of the beast equals 258 in gematria. 666 square rooted gives you 25.8. $33 is regarded as the most worshipped number in Masonry. Represents Master Masonry and the 33 vertebrae in the human spinal cord. And Disneyland famously has Club 33 at Disneyland. And it's very easy to see why. He says that it's for some other reason. They give some, that it's the address of the address that the club is on in Disneyland is on 33 New Orleans Street. He says that that's the only reason why it's called Club 33. But I have a hard time believing that. A very, very hard time believing that. Another example of prime numbers in use would be the 616th prime number, being 4,547. The number of the beast from Revelation is originally believed to have been 616. Papyrus 115 lists it as 616, not 666. It's definitely both, though. They'll use 616 as well, but we definitely see 666 used as in a big way, like Kobe's 666 game. So it's almost like both are in play. Donald Trump is president numbers 45 and 47. That's why he wears that on his hat right here. And a lot of people see this entity right here as the Antichrist. And, you're not wrong, right? The fact that he's president's number 45 and 47 is very telling about what he represents. In the book of Revelation, the 7 trumpets are a series of divine judgments and warnings blown by 7 angels during the end times tribulation. So composite numbers. Composite numbers are a positive integer that has at least one divisor other than 1 in itself. So basically, a number is either the number 1, it's either prime, or it's composite. So these would be all the non-primes after 1. So this is going to definitely get a little trickier than where I've been. This is going to be maybe the trickiest one of the day, but I think we can. I think you have enough context now to see what I'm saying with some of these things. The 322nd composite number right here is 402. So a group that constantly appears is Skull and Bones, the secret society from Yale University. The president during 9/11 was a member of Skull and Bones, and many people probably today have some connection to this secret society. The society goes by many different names, like the Brotherhood of Death. Just it goes by order, the order, and it also goes by bones. And remember, sorry, remember that Freemasons worship the 33 vertebrae. So we start to see the connections between different entities that kind of govern, rule what we see as reality. Um, Human baby equals 33 and 402 in gematria. Here we see these right here. 666 equals 402. And as I've written it right here, soon you'll become aware of how disgusting and vile these creatures are and how they code feeding on children and feeding on people, but mostly children, into a lot of what they do, right? Some of the deaths, some of the events that they put on certain days, movies that they put on certain days, are tied to human human baby, and human child, um, sacrifice. Um, Carbon 12, as I said, 6 protons, 6 neurons, 6 electrons. The number of the beast is the number of a man as ascribed in Revelation 13:18. We are all inherently sinful, innately sinful. Humanity equals 666 in Gematria. I have all this right here. I just want to kind of read this first. And the first live human birth took place exactly 666 days before CERN was founded. Exactly 666 days before CERN was founded. The first live human birth took place. And CERN's logo is a 666. And see right here, yeah, 1 6 2 6 3 6. 666 days separate Gordon Campbell Kerr's birth in Denver, Colorado, from CERN's founding. And this is another place where I think that it's really pertinent to see that CERN as a establishment, why would they code things like this if they're doing anything positive for us? Why would they? Why would they do this? And they're trying to break down matter, and then we're talking about how carbon 12, which is all human life, 6 protons, 6 neurons, and 6 electrons. So it's just a very strange connection, and it's never sat right with me. And yeah, I think that it's a sly way of them letting us know that human children are used. Monsters Inc., adrenochrome, the Epstein files that we see, but it's not just about the Epstein files. That's just one. They just give us. That's just a window into their world. That's not even the full story, right? There's way more sick things that happen that aren't in those files, and yeah, it sickens me, and it's one of the main driving forces behind why I do the work that I do. I have a kid, and it genuinely makes me upset, how we allow things like this to happen. And I think that if all of us were more educated on gematria, on things like this, we would see the connections, and we would all be as disgusted as I am, right? And that's my why. That's why I try to share this stuff, because it might be a little difficult to understand. It might be a little bit, it's unsettling, right? It's not something that's comfortable, but the truth is extremely uncomfortable. That's just the way it is. If the truth was nice and good, they wouldn't have any reason to occult it, right? Yeah, I mean, I can't even, I don't know what the numbers are and the amount of kids that go missing every year, but I think that it's our job to make that number as small as possible in any way that we can. And I don't have, we can't all be boots on the ground per se on everything, but we can all at least bring awareness and call people out when we see things like this. All right, enough of that right there, kind of. Another example of composite numbers in use is the 68th composite number, which is 93. CERN equals 68. I didn't put it here, but Denver equals 68. And Denver is the place where this first birth took place. That was 666 days from CERN's founding on the end. So CERN's founding came on the day leading 93 days in the year. This is where we start using the calendar, right? 93 days are left on September 29th, and that's the date that CERN was founded. CERN was also founded 9,300 weeks from America's founding. So exact 9300 weeks from America's founding. Saturn equals 93, and here we begin to see another layer of the occult, right? We see Mecca, the worship by Muslims of Mecca. We see the Jewish rabbis with their black cubes on their head, right? We see the black cubes in New York, I think Chicago. None of this is coincidence. Trump has a tower in San Francisco that is also all about Saturn coding. It was built in 1969. I've made posts about this, but the black cube equals 93, Saturn equals 93. The black cube of Saturn is a popular concept linking the gas giant Saturn to a cubic symbol that represents time, physical reality, and cosmic order. And Saturn was known as the god of time in ancient Rome. And I just talked about how many people, not just me, suspect CERN of altering our time, making our time different, or somehow altering what we see. Somehow it doesn't feel the same, and it hasn't felt the same since they shut down. Yeah, so that would have to do with, why would they code so many Saturn, so many 93s into what they do? It's got to be for a reason, and for it to come from America's founding exactly is alarming as well, because you look up any images of Saturn on Google, you can just type in God Saturn. You're going to see Saturn chewing on a baby, eating kids. Like it's a weird worship where it's like it's also involving children being killed again. It's like the same things arise, right? And when you see the same things come up, it's for a reason. CERN released the World Wide Web in 93. I almost forgot that. The World Wide Web, the internet as we know it, was released in 93. And we will get to this later, and I don't have any more slides on this here, but computer equals 666, internet equals 666, Minotaur equals 666. And Nikola Tesla's death directly ties to the Baphomet. So 50 years and 113 days separate Nikola Tesla's death on January 7th, 1943, from the World Wide Web being released on April 30th, 1993. 50 years and 113 days. Well, and you don't have to take my word for it, right? We have this right here. 1/7/1943 is Tesla's death, and the World Wide Web will be released April 30th, 1993. 50 years, 113 days, right? Tesla's 369. And this is a well-known fact by many in the community, but the first Apple computer sold for $666.66. Computer equals 666 Sumerian, right? Internet equals 666 reverse Sumerian. And this is where we start to see the web of how I see it myself, is that humanity, people, ourselves, are what drive this machine, right? somehow with our energy, again, I'm not a scientist, I don't have every answer on this. I don't have the exact conclusive thing that maybe some people are looking for, but the Baphomet. The Baphomet equals 11350 and 369 Latin. 369 Latin. 369 Latin humans, right? So what I mean to say by this is somehow it's us powering the machine. CERN releases in 93, right? Tied to Saturn, when Saturn is the one that apparently keeps order. So, and people see it as like energy being siphoned to the black cube. Um, there's definitely forces at play that we don't see, and I'm not. Again, I don't have the conclusive evidence, but I do think that, and we're gonna get to in later streams. I'll first of all, I'll slow down and talk better than I'm talking now, but I'll definitely touch on how Nikola Tesla's 369 is very pertinent to what we see, and like baseball, right, is all about 3, 6, and 9, right? 6 outs is an inning, 3 strikes and you're out, 9 innings in a game, 9 players in the lineup. Um, everything seems to does seem to tie to the 3, 6, and 9, and yeah. So now I just want to shift to, and maybe I didn't put a bow on that like I should have, but this is something that just happened recently, so I want to touch on it right now. And it brings together pi and the circle, which is something that I'm going to get to. I'm going to talk about infinitely. And CERN uses concentric circles, right, on the collider. Today is the day in history when King James was born. He was born in 1566, and the Golden Gate Bridge took 1566 days to construct. Now, if you saw my stories, my laptop, for some reason, it's after these images, it really stopped being able to post anything. I don't know why. That's a bug that I'm going to have to figure out. But I don't have images for all of this. If you want me to go back after and show the evidence on these, I will. But the Golden Gate Bridge took 1566 days to construct, and King James was born in the year 1566. And I don't have it here, but I mean, I have you guys here, right? Just show this really quick because it's crazy. um, I can get this to do the thing. Here we go. That's Kobe Bryant's birthday. This is Michael Jordan's birthday. The bridge took 1566 days to construct. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were born 15 years, 6 months, 6 days apart. And if you also know this fun fact, Kobe Bryant played exactly 1566 games in his career. Now that whole web that I just described, and I'm going to say it one more time, if you if you do playoffs included, Kobe Bryant played 1566 games in his career. The bridge took 1566 days to construct, and Jordan and Kobe, the two goats, as they say, were born 15 years, 6 months, 6 days apart. All that, by the way, is credit to a guy named Gematria book who blocked me a while ago, and I think talked some shit about me. But I don't know why. But the guy has incredible connections, and he's really where I saw the bridge collapse stuff for the first time, and I was mind blown by his work, and I would credit him for his work all the time. So I don't really know where the animosity came from his side, but that's for another thing, right? um, So when LeBron, King James, and the Cavaliers came back from down 3-1 to defeat the Warriors, was near San Francisco, they won the finals on 6/19 of that year. On June 19th, King James brings the Cavaliers back against San Francisco. It's very easy to see the connection to King James of the Bible. So the King James Bible was published on the date May 2nd, 1611. And I was researching this right now, so that's just the date that's kind of been widely accepted. But they say that the official publishing date isn't really known exactly. So take that as you will. But many people, I've seen the May 2nd date so many times that I consider it to be that at this point. But so where most of the world writes the date as February 5th, 1611. And I know that this is super wordy, but again, it's because I don't have the images to go with it. So I had to write it all here. Pi equals 25, 19, 16, and 11. So 2, 5, 16, 11, which is basically 25, 16, and 11 pi numbers, right? King James of the Bible would then go on to die in the year 1625, and I do have that right here. Right there. He died in 1625. Pi. Right, and the King James Bible was published 1611. Pi. And we're going to find here, and we're going to get to this in the right up there, but San Francisco is the birthplace of Pi Day. San Francisco is the birthplace of Pi Day. And that's why San Francisco finds itself in all these rituals. So King James would go on to die in the year 1625. Pi numbers again. And LeBron James tied the NBA record this year for games played with Robert Parrish with 1611. And that's one that, this is why I'm showing this. This is really kind of more advanced stuff. But I just feel like because it's something that's happened so recently, a lot of people will make the connections themselves. Let me drink water before I keep sounding like a... Oh my God. All right. Yeah, I just feel like because all of this is more recent, I feel like it'll maybe make your mind make the connections quicker because it's fresh, right? We're gonna get to Oliver Tree, Tay Keith, and Brandon Clark's whole death ritual and the murder by numbers. And this topic of murder by numbers is something that we get asked about a lot. A lot of people have negative things to say about us, even coding people that have passed. But there is simply no way that the connections that I'm going to show, there's simply no way that it's coincidence. There's simply no way that it happened accidentally, but there's forces behind these deaths and how they intertwine. And I'm going to show that. So yeah, LeBron ties Parrish with 1611. And LeBron's big three was introduced in Miami a span of 16,110 weeks after Yale University was founded. Exactly. 16,110 weeks after Yale University was founded, home of Order 322. And Yale's logo is also the Bible, by the way. The Yale University logo has the Bible on it. Pi Day, as we know it, was founded in San Francisco in 1988, the exact same date that Stephen Curry was born. And yes, you heard that correctly. Stephen Curry was born on Pi Day in San Francisco. Not in San Francisco, but he was born on the day that San Francisco founded Pi Day at the Exploratorium. And the Exploratorium, if you see their logo, they use a huge O for the Exploratorium. And that's not an accident. It's the circle, right? It's pi. Pi is about the circle. It's the ratio of the, what is it? Pi times radius, something. I don't know. I can't think of it right now, but 3.14, 159, etc., etc. The circle in geometry is widely worshipped by the powers that be. Circles open portals, and they believe God is the grand architect, as discussed. Um, Satanic rituals take place in enclosed circles. A lot of times, blood sacrifices and spell casting use the circle. Think of sorcerers or magicians that you've seen in films. One that I think about a lot is Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. He always is doing this, and they have that orange like thing that they have that they all use to guard themselves. Is always a circle, right? It's like an orange circle thing that they all use. Circle equals 322 in Gematria. Donald equals 322 in Gematria. Fallen equals 322 in Gematria. I mean, if you ask me, like pertaining to the circle and what we've talked about, Solomon's that came out of me without any. All right, sorry about that. Wembanyama and his ties to CERN, and how circle equals 322 and fallen equals 322. Again, I don't have anything to prove this, but I believe that Wembanyama is a fallen angel, 100%. 100% he's tainted with Nephilim blood. And the tainting of the blood is something that thereafter that, I'm going to talk about the bird and baguette incident over and over again, but bird and bread, that ties to blood sacrifice, in my opinion, right? Because Christians always use the bread and wine to resemble Jesus, his body and his spirit. I think it's all almost a mockery, right? They're mocking, and they love mocking, and you'll see it over and over, the mocking of Jesus, and that only comes from evil, right? Um, think about the sacrifices happening recently. They come around the time that Trump is going to turn 80 years old, and the original King James Bible had 80 books, right? Portal, Satan, Brandon Clark all equal 80. The 80th triangular number is 32 and 40. And if we want to get even deeper on Trump and King James, we can do that really easily. His birth, actually, I found this the other day. Everything is all tied together, right? It's all mapped out by these people. Donald Trump was born 55 years, 89 days from 9/11. 55 years, 89 days. $55 89 days separate 9/11 from Donald Trump's birth. Parasite equals 89 and 55 in the same ciphers. Now, how does that connect to Trump? This is something as well that I'm going to talk about later. But worms matches with this fellow in every cipher. 88, 25, 47, 29. And that's when we get real advanced, when we get into, we have to go into Solomon's Temple at all. Allegory of Solomon's Temple. We'll do that in another stream. But it's crazy the coding that goes on with Donald Trump. And so you see here how he just turned 80 years old. The original King James Bible had 80 books. Portal, Satan, Brandon Clark all equal 80, and the 80th triangular number is 32 and 40. And I do want to show that. Circle equals 32 and 40. Portal 80. Satan 80. Brandon Clark 80. And the thing about the number 80 is that in the triangular, you see it right there, 33,240. And circle equals 32 and 40. So that's another way that you can like try to use how the numbers are used. That's another way that you can see how the numbers are used and how you can use them for yourself, right? I want everyone to be able to do this on their own. Donald So what I just said, right? Donald, fallen, and circle all equal 322. Donald, circle, fallen. Oh my god, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, fallen angel equals 89 and 55. Donald Trump was born 55 years, 89 days before 9/11. So, and I mean, fallen angel, it's like that's Lucifer coding, right? That's it's really something that needs to be taken seriously. Like this is the share this one. Yeah, this is how we see how things are coded in between themselves, right? Like in between the numbers. You have to look in the numbers sometimes. That's what I want people to see. And there's octal numerals, right? A number's octal value. And this is something that has its own equation, a separate equation, but I have seen it 100% used. It was used in the murder of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was the 8 car, and octa is 8. And I just want you guys to be able to start putting things together like this, like seeing the number 8 car. Immediately, I thought of octal numerals, but I didn't see the connection immediately until I saw that he died at 41, and then he was replaced by the 33 car. Replaced by the 33 car. The 33rd octal number is 41. So he's the 8 car replaced by 33, and he dies at 41, connected to Kobe Bryant. As many coders have said already, Kobe Bryant and Kyle Busch both have the same 2 initials to start their names, right? Or for their first and last name, K and B, and they both died at 41. And Kobe had number 8. He was famously number 8 for a lot of his career. So, and Kyle Busch is number 8, the 8 card. So octal numerals are a huge thing that are used as well. There's other octal numerals that I'm not. Oh, no, that's not octal. That's a composite. The 47 composite is 66. Is it the yeah. The 47 composite, right? Yeah, the 47th composite is 66. The 47th composite is 56. Well, beast equals 47. Number of the beast equals 66. So there you see another number game being played within itself. And 258, as I mentioned earlier, 666 square rooted is 25.8. There you see how the number games can be played in many different ways. Oh, actually, I wasn't even showing that. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I meant to be sharing this tab here. Let me show it again. Beast is 47. The 47th composite is 66. Beast. Number of the beast, 66. And again, with Trump coding, right? And the 616 that we talked about. Beast is 47. He's the 47th president, and Trump equals 47. Another thing that shows that his coding is nothing positive, right? Nothing positive about Donald Trump. So Oliver Tree died at 32 on Trump's birthday. On Trump's 80th birthday, where the 80th triangular is 32 and 40, and the circle equals 32 and 40. And it's funny that on Trump's birthday, they had the UFC event, and they had a big circle-looking arch overlooking the event. It's almost like Oliver Tree was sacrificed for the event itself, or there's deeper reasons as well, including Solomon, which Solomon equals 32. I'm going to get to Solomon and that whole thing. I'm going to get to that in another stream because that's, I mean, I could talk about that for like 5 hours probably. And I don't want to make it 5 hours, right? But an enormous sign that something is about to come full circle. Oliver Tree. The Super Bowl logo is a wave, and Donald Trump's Q conspiracy has earthquake encoded in it. And I made a post about this. A lot of people that are here are from my Instagram channel. My Instagram channel is linked to this. One of my more recent posts is about how the Order of Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl, however you want to say that, is a Masonic order that was founded on 3/14/1945, on Pi Day in 1945, before Pi Day was founded, but 3/14/1945, a Masonic order was founded. It's from Mexico City, but the span from that order being founded to Trump's birth, and we can see it right here. There's another one that I want to show. Here, I might as well show this while I'm here. Earthquake equals 457 satanic. Remember, with the alphabet beginning at 36, right? Earthquake equals 457 satanic. So the Order of Quetzalcoatl also goes by Q, sometimes just known as Q. And Q reminds of when there was the whole QAnon thing with Donald Trump. So 457 days separate the Order of Quetzalcoatl, an order that's known as Q, the Order of Q, from Trump's birthday, and earthquake, quake, equals 457 satanic. And it even goes further with, it's the 88th prime number, and Trump equals 88. Estados Unidos Mexicanos equals 88. Order 322 equals 88. Occult equals 88. Remember the time machine, or the time warp that happens in Back to the Future with the DeLorean? It doesn't take place until they reach 88 miles per hour. The QAnon conspiracy began on October 28th, 2017. And this has no connection really to his birth as much, as that's not what I'm showing. What I want to pay attention to is this 1028. 1028 is when that conspiracy began. And I just want to prove that that's true here. QAnon originated on October 28th, 2017. 1028. And again, in numerology, we don't really care for the zero. Bridge collapse equals 128. And famously, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed at 1:28 p.m. or a.m. A bridge collapse happened at 1:28. The North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed at 10:28 p.m. or a.m. as well. So they code this 128 into collapse a lot. So the fact that, oh, I wasn't even sharing this. I really need to stop doing that. This is my first time doing this. I'm sorry about that. So bridge collapse 128. And then you had the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse at 128. And you also had the North Tower collapse at 10:28. And the fact that is coded along with QAnon, and then you have the Order of Q having the span that it has to Trump, is very pertinent to the coding that we see with the Super Bowl logo, right? The Super Bowl logo is a wave, and Donald Trump's whole Q conspiracy has an earthquake encoded in it. It's making me think that something like that could be possible. And this is, I hope that this shows that when we say things like, oh, this may happen, it's not coming from a place of, for sure, it's not coming from a place of, I want it to happen, because I live in the Bay Area. So I don't want any of what I'm saying to happen at all. But that's maybe also why I'm more passionate about talking about it, because It's from an it would happen to an area that I grew up in, and it comes from a place of seeing the numbers, seeing the patterns, seeing how all of this is connected to each other. And I'm still not done with the connections to Pi Day and these sacrifices that just took place, right? Tay Keith and Brandon Clark. But you see the connections, and they're inescapable. You can't pretend like they're not there. And if you do pretend like they're not there, I feel like you're just doing an injustice, right? I have the eyes to see this, so that's why I want everyone to see this, and I want everyone to be able to code on their own, because there's topics that I won't even go into because maybe I'm not watching that show, or I'm not talking about that certain thing, and things will escape me. And sometimes I see things from other coders and I'm like, holy shit, like that's eye opening, and it's something that I wasn't touching on and that I would have never found on my own. So there's a lot of things like that, right? That we only have the two eyes that we have, right? And we only see what we see, and we're only one person. So Tay Keith and Brandon Clark are both tied to Memphis. Keith was born there, and Clark played for the Memphis Grizzlies. They both died at 29. Pi equals 29. So Tay Keith died yesterday on June 18th, one day before King James' birthday. That's not a coincidence. And Brandon Clark died on May 11th. They died a span of I did not write that in here, but they died a span of 38 days apart from each other. May 11th to June 18th, 2026 is 38 days. And we just talked about how 38 is the biggest death number there is, right? Murder in Memphis both equal 34, 83, and 38. So this is where we start tying in the circle. From Pi Day to the death of Tay Keith last night was 38 years, 3 months, 4 days. From Pi Day to Brandon Clark's death or murder, definitely seeming more like a murder, is 38 years, 8 weeks, 3 days. Murder and Memphis equal these numbers. The fact that they both died at 29 years old, right? And Pi equals 29, and then Tay Keith's murder, which brings the ritual full circle, right? Which brings the ritual full circle, ends on the day right before we hit King James' birthday. It's all very symbolic. Right? From Pi Day to Clark's murder, 38 years, 8 weeks, 3 days. Murder. Clark died on the same day that LeBron may have played the last game of his career, again, bringing full circle. LeBron and the Lakers were eliminated on the day that Clark died. And from Clark's death to Keith's death is the 38 days I actually did have to. Tay Keith's death, 38 years, 3 months, 4 days after Pi Day. Both these deaths have a perfect murder span from the same date, and they both died at the same age. This is a ritual that I really wanted to show because it's so connected that you can't, again, the thing about coding as well is you have to be fully objective about what you're looking at, because if you're not, you're going to like try to find things that aren't there, and that's not how you want to be coding. You have to come from a place of full objectiveness to see these rituals the way that they are. I feel like you could show this whole web right here to someone, this Tay Keith, Brandon Clark Pi death ritual that came from Pi Day, and I feel like anyone could say, okay, that's strange, right? Again, Circle 322, Donald 322, Fallen 322. Collapse has been a big part of the year's rituals. Collapse equals 83, 29, 43, 249. Adebayo scored 83 points on the date that the United States turned 249 years, 249 days old. The date that the United States of America was 249 years, 249 days old Bam Adebayo scored 83 points. It's exactly a collapse ritual, and that can symbolize, that could be the collapse of society. Might be the bridge collapse, but it's definitely the society is collapsing. We all feel that way. I think a lot of us feel that way, that society isn't going in the right direction. AI, etc. Keith and Clark's deaths both come at 29, relating to a city that matches with murder, right? Memphis. And the San Francisco Giants, and this is another thing that you'll see with records, you'll see with sports, how they connect to the rituals at play. The Giants this year were 29 and 43. Um, a couple games ago, they won. They became 29 and 43. And it's just the most pertinent one there is, right? Collapse numbers by the Bay, 29 and 43. I think I showed all the images that I have here. Unfortunately, like I said, I couldn't show all of them, but that's all I have for right now. I don't want to get too in the weeds, even though this was pretty involved here. Let's see. I want to go back. I'm still on the doc screen. Yeah, I'm still on the. Okay. So here I am. That's my cat back there. That's Sully right there. Thank you to everyone that showed up, and I'm gonna post this afterwards, and I think that I'll probably get a lot more people to watch this afterwards. Let me see the questions that I have here. You mentioned the prophesized codes. So in every event of reality, this is from Jarda Brothers. So in every event of reality that was manipulated to happen in a certain way, is this where we find the connections? So in every event of reality that was manipulated to happen in a certain way, is this where we find the connections? Yes. Yeah. If it's manipulated, you'll see it in a way like with the Brandon Clark deaths, the Brandon Clark and Tate Keith deaths. There's an organic side of gematria that I don't personally really code that way. I don't say like, oh, I just saw the number 128, so that means that I'm going to do this or that. Like, there's people that do think that way, and there is something to organic gematria, but for the most part, when you see connections that are alarming and that connect various different topics, it definitely that those are the ones that scream manipulated event, um, that scream foul play, right? The Lilo and Stitch death that just happened has a lot of coding to it as well that screams foul play. And she was only 35, and there is a time when it's sad, right? Like, it's sad to see people being offed and you knowing that it's a numeric ritual. I don't get any enjoyment out of bringing that up, but I feel like we have to do that. But yes, in every event of reality that was manipulated, that's where we find connections. That's where you find the biggest connections, because if they weren't manipulated to be the way that they are, we wouldn't have them. And this is a lot of times with sports as well. You'll see this. Like, I remember clearly, the Pirates in baseball played the Yankees, and the Pirates became 911 and 911 at home since 9/11. And the Pirates have the Skull and Bones logo, and they were playing New York. But in sports, you'll see these rituals really well, because for that to happen, right? This is what I tell people. It's like, it's not just the ritual that happened on the day. It's, you have to think about how every game leading up to that, from their existence from years and years ago, led them to be on 910 wins, 911 losses on the day that they played the Yankees at home, right? So that's how you see that it's all manipulated. All of sports are manipulated at the highest level. Are they manipulating D League games? I don't know. I don't think so. I have never coded anything like that. Like, are they coding games and teams where they're very low level, like have very low viewership, things like that? I don't think so, because I think where they find the most satisfaction is having a lot of eyes and a lot of energy. Energy is a big thing. They want your energy, and that's a big thing that people need to realize. Like, they want our energy, whether it's in the workforce, whether it's being a fan to things. What they thrive off of is the energy that we give them, and we don't know how powerful that we are, right? If we didn't fill the arenas, if we didn't watch the shows, watch the movies, if we didn't do the whole thing, if we didn't pay the rent, if we didn't pay the taxes, like, their whole thing shuts down. But we need a lot of we would need a lot of people to come together for something like that. RMX CLS, hello sir, thank you for joining. Jarder Brothers, thank you for joining, man. Jay Vasquez, thank you for joining, and I will save this live, definitely. Jacob Tippett, so much. Spartan Child 7. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. This is the first one. I'm going to try to do more of these. I love to do this because it lets me get everything off in one go. So depending on how much you guys like this, or if you want me to scale back with certain things, let me know. On Instagram, I'll post it. But again, thanks for being here. I feel like we can make this a place, like a safe space for Gematria, right? Like, I feel like people should be able to feel comfortable here. I try to be. I'm just me, right? And I'm really nobody. And I hope that other coders come on here eventually. And yeah, have a great day, everyone.